The topic that we are going to be discussing right now is technology shaping future of architecture and design. I'll repeat the topic for you all once again. This is technology shaping future of architecture and design. This session is going to be moderated by somebody very, very special, Ashwini, KT, General Manager, Research and Design Services from Vestian. Ashwini ji is a designer and researcher with 13 plus years of experience in master planning, architecture, design and research. With a master's degree in sustainable design from the Architectural Association London, she is highly passionate about sustainability with a keen focus on promoting diversity, equity and inclusion through design. In the recent years, her body of work has been closely linked to translating stakeholder ESG goals into tangible design interventions with the vision of positively impacting end users and communities, as well as helping them achieve their sustainable development goals at large. Very happy to have you. We also have with us today Ranjith K. Kartha, Director and Principal Lighting Consultant, Veda, Bangalore, National Institute of Design, NID, Bangalore, and Tripti School of Design, Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen, please, 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 a warm welcome to Sir as well. Thank you. We also have with us today Reema Bhandari, Director, Moser Associates. With over 15 years of experience in the design and construction industry, Reema ji brings extensive knowledge and unwavering commitment to every project that she leads. Driven by passion for innovative workplace design, she skillfully navigates and manages each project phase from conceptual design to construction management, everything all together. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Reema ji as I welcome her over here as well. Thank you so much. The stage is set, the panel is ready, the audience is ready, all of you are ready. So thank you so much. I pass it over to you. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to everybody. I'm Ashwini and I'll be your moderator for this session. Firstly, a big thank you to Realty Plus for having us today and for having this very pertinent topic on technology and how it's going to inform the future of architecture as well as design. So when you look at technology and you're looking at the timeline, if you're looking at it from post the era of industrial revolution, where the industry was hugely informed by, the manufacturing side of things, material, etc., to today, where we are looking at, automation, we're talking about science-based targets, data-driven design. We are looking at artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality. So you see that it's come a long way, and technology has played a huge instrumental role in shaping the industry along this timeline. So whether it's the advancements or if you're looking at how it's sort of catapulted the rate at which work happens today, the efficiencies, how engineering happens, and how design capabilities have sort of built over time. And what it has also done is it's put a huge emphasis on human experience. I mean, that's such a pertinent topic in itself. So today we're going to cover a wide range of topics, and we have with us absolute experts in the field, right from design, build, through the processes of construction, delivery, business development. We also have an expert in the niche field of lighting design and integrated building design services. So all of that put together, we're going to cover diverse topics within the next 1 hour or so. And we'll take you through the trends and forecasts and truly look at how technology is really shaping the future of both architecture as well as design. So with that, I think I'll head to my first question, which is for you, Reema. Looking at, you represent the design field at large, right from design to execution, etc. And a very pertinent topic today is how technology is shaping both designs and the end user experiences in the hybrid world. We just can't quit talking about hybrid and what it's doing to the world today. And how is it that highly tech environments are working today, and how in your expertise are you balancing the high tech and ensuring that human experience is also brought in through design?
Thank you for asking this question. So what we are seeing right now, technology is definitely the enabler, And the focus is to create human experience to be more versatile and more focused on creating integrated experiences where people are feeling comfortable when they come back to work. So we have seen after all of this hybrid environments, when after COVID, people were coming back to the work, to get that overall balance between people working from home, working from office, how is it that technology was enabling all of that to happen? It's definitely the AI and the tools that we have utilized or we have used through IoT. This has been a big enabler for making people feel comfortable even if they are working from anywhere. So it's more about supporting the needs of the individuals, supporting the need where they are and how the work can be done anywhere. That has become a sort of key aspect. We are seeing real estate spaces never ending. They're just expanding and expanding. However, most of our clients that we are seeing right now, they are trying to create an environment where they could house maybe 50% of the overall headcount that they were initially housing in that space. And they are trying to maximize the experience by creating those immersive environments. They're trying to use technology for onboarding the candidates. They're trying to use technology to also, create that blend with the whole biodiversity part, with the whole neuro diversity part. All of these are enablers successfully if they are planted. It becomes so comfortable for people to be able to blend by keeping the human experience as a priority than technology, because it's not the other way around, right? So I feel that there's no end to technology, it will keep evolving. But as long as we create solutions which are helping people to work better and helping people to be more comfortable, whether it's through the environment, through the HVAC, or through the right technology and lighting, the circadian rhythm, everything that we talk about is just to enable people to work better.
So does that mean that real estate office space is here to stay?
Always.
Yes. Perfect. And pertinent topics, you mentioned a lot of aspects of well-being and human experience itself, and human-centered design, and how that is really rooting for design today, right?
Right.
And with that question, we'll move to Livingston. You work extensively on the business development side, through processes and communication, and driving projects and ensuring they hit their deadline and beyond. So from your experience, how have intelligent systems enabled ease of business operations, processes, communication, and basically day-to-day execution of projects?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, like Reema mentioned, technology is going to be there, right? I mean, the kind of growth what we are seeing today, it's enormous. It's very, very difficult to do without technology. So if we go out of the room from here, everybody of us will have hundreds of emails. And I mean, like if you take a vacation, you end up doing like thousands of emails. And even on a day-to-day life, right? I mean, we end up doing in a lot of meetings, a lot of travels, and it's very difficult to align ourselves. So, I mean, today you can look at a lot of AI generated with Google, Gemini, even MediaDesk has. So what they do is like enable everything, like it configures and ensures what is your priority email to look at. Out of your hundreds of email, there'll be only 5 are very relevant to you, and the other 95 they'll give a gist of it. That's what Google Gemini does, and we also do Big Fish and Space Matrix. We use Adobe Big Fish and Space Matrix, and it helps us to focus on what is required. So when we go on it every day at work, every one of us knows what are our priorities. Automatically based on the invite or any escalation, the calendars are set, and it takes our the most tedious work apart. Technology helps all this, right? You cannot expect technology to creative design for sure, but there are a lot of right mediums which we can adopt. I mean, so that's how we've been using Big Fish a lot. So Big Fish is a big respiratory system. So what we do is, I think everybody, I mean, like not just a lot of others use Procure, every companies use their own softwares, But what these softwares does is like ensures, if it in a project based, all your mails, all your documents, drawings, budgets, everything get stored in one old document. And secondly, it helps us to, if a client, he doesn't need to open an AutoCAD to review it. He can just go into this cloud-based tool, and he can comment on the drawing. He can comment on the schedule. So it becomes much easier. So it enables collaboration. It ensures transparency within the system, and it eases the communication also, right? So technology is definitely a boon, right? And also, like even in construction, like since you asked day to day, even in construction, if you look at, there's like lots and lots of work. Like today, a project manager at site will have hundreds of items in each day to do work. So with technology, it eases what is priority, what needs to be done, and it eases the workload also. Look, right from going and scanning a building. So earlier days, we have to go take all the measures in terms of measuring the drawings and all that. Today, you have 3D digital mapping. I mean, like immediately you go in a day's time, you get a complete AutoCAD or a BIM generated drawing, which you can use it in your, in your drawings to work around. So right from that, and then BIM is used extensively, right? In terms of clash detection and all that. We use SaltMine, very similar. You know about it. So yeah, we use SaltMine. Again, it does a similar purpose. It ensures like all the drawings are coordinated. It helps us. There's no clash detection and all that. So in terms of work progress, even our project managers, in most of the sites, most of the things I've seen also, they've been well averse with it. So they are able to see how the construction drawings has to be taken care of, how the services has to be coordinated, and it becomes much, much easier using technology to the most. And today, a lot of white paper works. I mean, like even if you look at clients in terms of mapping the workflow, they use technology a lot, right? So again, it is endless. It is endless, and it can be used. It just need to be used in the right version. That's it.
A lot on efficiency is what you're basically emphasizing on,
Yep,
Livingston.
yep.
Okay. Thank you for that. And because you mentioned BIM, I think I'm going to move on to the next question, which is for you, Akhil. We're trying to be, look like we haven't rehearsed. So, Akhil, the next one is for you. What do you think, currently are the big trends in integrated building service design? And do you have one that you're rooting for? And how is it influencing the way work gets done today in the built environment?
So the context of technology for us was a little bit different. We didn't do it because it was sexy and because it's giving these kind of results. We started using digital twins 2.5 years ago to make the design development process stress-free. So if you ask any engineer in our office, concept design is amazing. They're so excited. ये project नया आया है, discuss करेंगे. Detail design में गए तो बोले अरे यार drawing बनानी है. Tender तो everyone's tearing their hair. Tender. Then you move to shop drawings. That's more likely a distraction because कब shop drawing आ रही है तुमको पता ही नहीं है. जब आएगी तभी तुमको approve करनी है. So the entire design development process has a lot of stress through it. And finally, especially because you all are here, you can take a photo of the project and say, ये हमने किया, and then forget the stress behind it. What we started using digital twin for is how we can reduce this stress and reduce human error. So as an example, we do plumbing systems now, and all plumbing systems are connected by a mere single line. In the BIM language, LOD 100. So if anything is connected with a mere single line, it's LOD 100. Now the process of taking that single line to a bill of quantity, bill of material and shop drawings, or let's say even to detailed drawings, takes steps. This happens automatically. Our plumbing systems, no engineer sizes any pipe anymore. It's connected to a WC, a basin, everything in a single line. There's a load node within it, and you say calculate system, it's calculated the system. Because designing piping system doesn't require rocket science. It's been happening all over the world. Whether you go to Germany or you go to India, or whether you go to Japan, water pipes are water pipes, sewer pipes are sewer pipes. So what we're talking about AI comes first computer generated. So first, we solved the journey from schematic to detailed design. Now a schematic to detailed design in MEP for us is a single click of a button. The next thing is when you're talking about issuing shop drawings and especially coordinated shop drawings. Now that's a scope loophole all of us have gone through, right? कौन बनाने वाला है? Coordinated one, final responsibility the contractor only will take, right? So this brings a lot of cost inefficiencies in terms of, let's give you an example. We've done 24 Cloud9 hospitals in the last 3 years. And each one of them over the last 3 years is delivered at 3,300 rupees a square foot, including GST. Now, most comparable hospitals are getting delivered at 4,800. Why can we do it? We don't have a magic stick. It's just that our bill of material, bill of quantities before we've tendered are so accurate, there's no question of a new item coming in. And now the contracts say that all billing will be done as per the digital model. So that's the second example, right? So you've automated design. You've removed the stress of shop drawings and quantities and budget overruns from the whole thing. Now, the last aspect that I'll talk about, for this question at least, is what we call the common data environment. So now currently, how do we take a drawing through? When a drawing gets delivered at site, the engineer will mark कि ये duct हो गया, ये दीवार हो गया, or something of like that. Then it will go to a QA/QC inspection. Then it will go to billing. Has anyone been able to see the documents from here till here and vet it with a 3D model ever before? Ever? Never. I know we've done a MEP consulting for 20 years. If I ask takeoff sheet nikalo project ka 5 saal pehle wala, what was the quantity bolo? Impossible someone can look at that takeoff sheet and do it. So what BIM effectively brings is, or digital twin brings is efficiency and transparency. It's not about how difficult or easy it is. And a final line within this, everything that we have developed within digital twins and open BIM is with ISO 19650. So it's open protocol, which means data will be interoperable no matter which software you're using. Whether you want to use an AR tool, you want to use a VR tool, you want to use something else, you want to use... Can it use a facility management tool as well? Of course it can, because it's a digital twin. It's got every single damn detail in there. So that's it for me for this question for now. Integrated engineering, that's what the world is going to be.
Absolutely. I think soul. Thank you so much for that, Akhil. No, I mean, you took us through, I felt it was very animated process and we looked into a lot of details. And yes, you touched a lot of pain points that, designers and the industry at large goes through. So thank you for that, Akhil. So having looked at the sort of micro details of things that you just spelled out, let's jump into a question which is more on the macro side of things. And, I'm talking about very large scale developments, infrastructure. And my question is for you, Nishigandh. You worked over the last many years in various geographies, especially in the Middle East, and some very complex and very large scale projects, execution. Could you please spell out how some of these great feats would not have been possible if it wasn't for certain technology?
So since you mentioned Middle East projects, and that's what we are working on, I'd like to talk a little bit from an architect's perspective about the Middle East projects. So there are three factors, I would say. One is that Middle East projects derive a lot of inspiration from Islamic architecture, where you have geometric patterns and repetition, and that design aspect comes into the appearance part of it. But the second, which is a slightly more critical factor, is the climate, which drives everything and the way buildings perform over there. But I think the third is the most important one, because that's the will and the aspiration of the people and the governments of these nations. And they are looking at a very sustainable growth and that kind of a future. I mean, all of us know what are the reasons for that. And that's where, the projects become more faster, the speed increases, the quality required, that increases, the expectation, and also the complexity. So honestly, these projects are not something which are too different from the projects we have in India, but these factors come into the picture. And a few more adjectives also get added to it, like tallest in the world, or largest in the world, or fastest, or, there are so many of them. So this is where the concept, starting from the concept stage itself, the evolution needs to happen quickly. Concepts need to evolve, and they need to adapt to whatever is the latest trends and technology available all over the world. That's how the clients are over there. So what we do at AtkinsRéalis is, and Akhil has kind of elaborated everything on the BIM platform, but yeah, we do the same thing in a way. We create a common platform for everyone to work on. The first factor here, especially because I'm from AtkinsRéalis and we have setups in UK, Middle East, and all over the world. So this itself brings in the collaboration part of it. The collaboration and coordination on a single federated model across the globe with all the disciplines and all the streams. That has to happen. So that's where technology comes in a very big way. And again, digital twins, of course. So what we have done to build on what Akhil said is we are using this BIM knowledge, this core strength in BIM knowledge, the information modeling, to one is to upskill our teams here. That's a very important thing that we need to do because the knowledge that's coming from colleges, it's very basic. So now every designer needs to know at least some program. And the other thing that we are doing is to use this BIM platform, the 3D platform. But the third thing, the most important one, is where everything gets automated. The entire production process is changed into an improved kind of a delivery workflow. And that's where I think the big change needs to happen. There was something else also I really wanted to talk about. So one of the examples, what we have tried, and I'm mentioning this because we are working on some of the largest projects in Saudi, including the Muqab, which I'm sure most of you must be aware of. That's the one. So which you see on YouTube. And that's a completely digital immersive experience. Now that kind of a project not just needs technology, but it also drives technology. So we have Rhino models, which are very basic models in which we develop our designs. They are converting into, they're simply evolving directly into Revit models and Revit drawings. And these drawings we are using for technical purpose or presentations. It just happens at the click of a button. And that's where the fun part of it. Yeah, so I think because we have this kind of a technology, all these things are possible. If this was not there, even things like doing QA/QC on projects or multi-D coordination, taking cost takeoffs, or construction management, facility management, the one which you mentioned earlier, all these things wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have the technology. So technology plays a very big role. And same thing, and equally important is gaining that design expertise with our teams. That's really critical.
Thank you, Nishigandh. What we can derive from that essentially is technology has helped us, basically strive for aspirations, ambitions, globally across the globe, and also maintain the same uniform level of standards across, whether it's in practice, whether it's in efficiencies, management, people, designs, all of it. Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to the next question, which is, hinted towards a very niche segment, which is the lighting industry, and that's for you, Ranjith. How has lighting design evolved through the years? And I'm sure Edison will agree with it. It has, through technology. And what have been the major technological differentiators in the industry?
So thank you, Ashwini, for that. And so I believe in today's fast evolving tech landscape that all my co-panelists have illustrated, and also there's been a lot of understanding about human well-being also in the last few years. Lighting has actually become or taken a center stage for that matter. That's what I believe, because I have to promote my profession. Yeah.
Make or break the project, the lighting has to be.
Yeah, so she said half what I wanted to say. So I think that evolution, and it's really great that that level of commitment and understanding is there from top level of any organization today. So to look into that, just to recap on what the history of lighting was and where is it today, I mean, to answer your question. So as an industry, I think lighting evolved just 60 years back. 50 or 60 years back, where predominantly it was a very functional requirement. You just had lux levels and yeah, you met the lux levels when you're done. There were some codes and it kind of evolved from the US, UK region. But lighting design as we see it today came in from more of a theatrical background. And I would say it's like late 1950s. So we have a person called, at least an architect, Richard Kelly, whom we all consider as the father of lighting design. So he coined a few terminologies like ambient lighting, focal glow, play of brilliance. So play of brilliance, I mean, though it sounds pretty interesting, the name itself, but it's typically play of brilliance is having a decorative element. Focal glow is having some accent lighting, and generally ambient lighting is just how you perceive that space. So I think when that became very academic in the way it was taught, is when people started taking up lighting from a very qualitative aspect. So marrying the quantitative and qualitative is where I think today as lighting designers we try to bridge that balance. And from 1950s, if you look at, and as the industry evolved, I think we can look at as certain inflection points from where really the technology has advanced what we look at lighting today. So from 50s or 60s to maybe early 2000s, lighting was pretty much a very sleepy industry, I would call, because we just had very incremental growth. We have the basic tube lights, the CFL lamps, the metal halides, and that was pretty much it. And people were just kind of playing around with that. It did not offer too much of flexibility. And things were very rigid. You had a 4 feet lamp and you had to just work with that 4 feet lamp.
It was more task oriented, right? Nobody was talking experience at that point.
Exactly. So it was very functional. Though the idea of experience was there, it did not evolve that much, at least in the Indian subcontinent. I would think it was there more on the US side and the UK side, and maybe in Dubai as well, due to the influx of UK, US architects there. But I would think, even as a profession in the Indian context, lighting designer, I think the first lighting designer would have started shop here maybe in 1999 or something. And so that's a very small, so just around 20 years of history in lighting design in the Indian subcontinent itself. So coming back so from 1950, I would say till 2000, we were just there as an industry and doing stuff. But in 2000 is where I would call an inflection point, where we had rapid usage of internet, number one, and the discovery of or the invention of LEDs. So that is where people started reimagining how lighting can be integrated into their architecture and interior spaces. It started with RGBs and changing of color. You have all these color changing stuff happening. That was not really possible in that time, because you had to have filters and papers. I'm sure you would have seen all that. You had to pick up papers and stick it on your T5 tube to get a blue color, and all those crazy things were happening. But I think this technology shift has really propelled lighting into a different realm for even architects and interior designers to start experimenting and playing with it. So I would say that's 2000s. 2001 is where I think people's understanding of lighting from a well-being perspective evolved. So that was in connection with the discovery of something that we called as intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells. I mean, it's a long name. It's called IPRGC. So that was a cell which is already there in our retina. So that discovery in 2001 kind of propelled a lot of research in Harvard and Yale universities in the last 10 years, from 2001 to 2010. There was a huge amount of research. Even I did my master's in lighting, and it was on light and health. So there was so much of research going on in every university trying to connect how lighting influences humans as in terms of productivity, in terms of sleep patterns, in terms of melatonin, how lighting impacts obesity, how lighting impacts diabetes. There's been a huge amount of research in the last 10 years. But that all kind of stayed in theoretical papers. From 2010, I think, when manufacturers started taking this science and started applying, that's when we started seeing all these tunable whites. You can change your color. So now you were also, Yeah, now you were also, like just off the cuff, she was saying circadian lighting. So it's become very common language, though it is still being used purely from a marketing sense, because I coming from a industry, a kind of a lighting background, I feel circadian lighting does not have too much of impact as the marketing guys say. Uh, yeah, it's a lot of gimmick is there. But I think that appreciation of lighting today is very much into integrating with architecture, having very small light sources, and creating that user experience. Today, user experience is possible because lighting is no more an object by itself, but it's evolved into a material itself. Because you don't want to see light anymore. You try to hide it somewhere. Light sources have become so small and tiny. Also, I think scene settings and things have become much easier. And I think lighting alone, if I talk about lighting design, I have to talk about lighting controls as well. Because lighting controls is what really give you the experience of what lighting is. I think that has also evolved over the last 10 years. And today we have wireless lighting systems. All those Philips Hue and all that you would have seen. You can control your lighting through Android, Apple. So I think the user interface of lighting has evolved. The user experience of lighting has evolved. Yeah, so that's a lot I have mentioned. So I think in the future also, I think what we look at lighting as, what we see is that lighting does not, you're not going to look at lighting from a lighting fixture point of view. Because lighting fixtures are going to do much more than just lighting. Because now we are looking at integrating sensors to light fixtures. You're able to sense how the space is being utilized, and that feeds into a BMS system for energy efficiency and thermal loads for HVAC. So the idea of lighting from a lighting fixture perspective is moving into imagining light as a overall encompassing experience which is tightly integrated to architecture and interior design.
Well blended, in fact.
Just one thing on circadian lighting you're talking about, because a lot of clients, it's very less used today, but a lot of clients where we use it, they appreciate it a lot. They really feel some more of wellness factor. We've not calculated as such, but because the light levels tunes according to the day lighting, right?
Money they have to value it.
It's not about the marketing people talking. Marketing keeps talking about it, right? When the client comes back and says, this is really nice, we should use it more. Yeah, the cost is huge, but there's a lot of appreciation from the client side.
Now, so this is also something the terminologies are used in the wrong way. What you are talking about is color changing, like tunable white from warm to cool and stuff like that.
Yeah, but circadian can be controlled in terms of the daylighting. So if you have because people work in same 400 Kelvin, whatever, from morning to the night, and people work for 12 hours and all that. This changes as per the daylighting, right? It has how the early morning sun is, how the mid-noon sun is, how the evening sun is. It makes them to ease more with the nature. And I honestly got, we have just done in 3 sites, and the cost is huge, but the client really appreciates it, and he's trying to extend it in few more areas. That's what the feedback what we got.
It's not just people. Like, this was one of the projects I was doing in Rajasthan for one of the parks in Jaipur. And that's when I first got to know about the circadian rhythm. And how that affects the birds and insects over there.
Yes, of course.
And the client was keen on investing all the money in the lighting fixtures to, make that effect happen naturally. So I think there is a lot of merit in that.
Absolutely. I think this is a huge topic in
it is a
itself
huge,
that we will have to, probably take on in a separate session. But what we're really gathering...
What I was just trying to say is, point taken, what you have mentioned. Just a small interjunction here. Because the real circadian lighting that we think of, or as per real science or research, is in how to map how your sleep and wake cycles are. So if you are in a healthcare environment, so circadian lighting is effective based on the environment it is applied. That's one thing. If I am going to have a typical Bangalore building where have a lot of hazard, there's a lot of daylight coming in. Circadian lighting does not play too much of a role if I'm working 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. For example, I'm going to have a 24/7 shift, then circadian lighting can come in. So I think it needs to be used judiciously, and there's a lot of bad marketing also going around. So we'll have to choose.
I think in general, what we're gathering from this, both Livingston and Ranjith, is the fact that, the industry has evolved, from what was just a fixture-based application to
Right.
something that's seamlessly integrated in overall well-being and user experience. So with that, because we also mentioned, Livingston, I think you work a lot with end users, you work closely with businesses. And, what is it that you're seeing, at the end user side in terms of, what are the asks today from their side in terms of, integrating digital transformation in spaces? Is there a huge demand, and what are these specific needs, and how are you integrating them?
I think today, again, technology helps a lot, right? I mean, like earlier when we pitch for a project, we just go with 3 or 4 views, and clients used to be okay with that. Those will be the 3 or 4 hero shots for reception, of a cafe, or a boardroom, whatever. Today, because with the help of technology, client is able to visualize entirely, from a facility perspective, from a real estate, or from a aesthetic perspective, from end to end. So all the clients today, I mean, they want to see the entire 3D. So, and we have software supporting it. It's not like it takes a lot of time and all that. So we use SaltMine, and then with that, whatever you create any drawings, it automatically generates in 3D. So, we don't need to specially work for that. Only that 4 or 5 hero shots, we output it in Max and render it and all that. But it is time consuming, and now we are able to give a very transparent system, because there gone are the days where the client suddenly comes in, hey, why did you do the ceiling? I never expected this, because he wouldn't be able to visualize in a 2D drawing. Today, it's much easier. And like I said earlier also, we are able to map the pattern of working with all the software. So the client, because each client differs. Earlier the set of requirements was given, we just designed to the requirements, nothing beyond it. Today, it's very clear, right? Every company are different. They have a culture, they have, and it's very unique to them, the way they work and all that. So you can easily, with the help of all these sensors and all that, we are able to map how the user patterns are, how effective the meeting rooms get used, how the collaboration happens, and what should be the design output should be. So we do a lot of workplace strategy session with client, and try to adopt all these based on each and every requirement. And every client's requirement are very different today, and they are able to be very dynamic, and it definitely helps in productivity. End of the day, it helps in efficiency, which is a huge thing. And I mean, so there's no limit. That's what I keep saying. Like, if you want to use it for wellness, again, in terms of sustainability, also there's like so much you can use technology as, in terms of air quality, in terms of everything. Like, there's no limit to it. So it definitely helps. And basically, these are the 3 demands what we see with the client: more on the design perspective, and more on the sustainability perspective, how it is getting used, and to increase the productivity and efficiency. These are 3 things which we see that with clients.
Perfect. And I think our industry is integrating it, in our designs and, practice at large. Thank you, Livingston. The next few questions will be a little more hinged towards, forecasting trends in the future, because, a topic like this, technology that's shaping the future, we should be talking about the future after all. So the next one is for you, Reema. What advancements in technology do you think would influence design processes in the future?
It's already doing it a bit. My people are using Mid-Journey right now these days. We used to think and maybe take a few days to create a mood board initially, give different options, give different look and feel ideas to the client. Now it's done in half an hour or 1 hour, right? And if the client doesn't like it, we take a day. We give a different brief to the Mid-Journey and try to get a different result out of it. So as long as we know how to use the technology to our benefit, the results will be aligned with the vision that the client wants to give us. So a lot of people are using ChatGPT for various reasons. Now it can also, you click a picture, you're able to understand the ingredients of the food that you're eating as well, right? So even with the pictures or the visuals that our teams are creating right now, we are taking the client from the journey of the inception when we are trying to understand their requirements. We're using Miro board, for example, when the client is not sitting in here, they're in US or in UK, and we are trying to get their leaders from across the world in one meeting and asking them to give us their preferences. So using technology to understand their aspirations, it starts from there. Then using technology to relay their vision, and then using technology to do the whole walkthrough, digital twin that Akhil mentioned. That's become so important for so many factors. The transparency, one big thing, when the clients are expecting to spend their money wisely. How is it that we are able to quantify it rightly? How is it that we can enhance the efficiency? How is it that we can enhance the overall aspect of various phases of the project done into one model and integrate and show them the entire clashes that usually before, I've seen some of our sites 6 years back, we used to change the duct and reroute the duct because there was a clash that was never identified in the 2D drawings. I mean, we are humans, we can make mistakes. But if you continue doing the same thing over and over without utilizing what the technology can bring it to you, then there's something wrong. So BIM is definitely a great enabler. Then AR, VR, using those tools to get buy-ins from the end users. Now we are seeing that change management has become a big thing. Leaders are not wanted to take calls individually themselves. They want their people to be part of the process. So we do town halls. We show them the space. We show them their future of the office. Take a sort of a buy-in. It's just an alignment. Visuals are already signed off by someone, right? So if it's all done, so AR, VR is helping us with those tools. And when the site is actually getting constructed, we are using open space by default on all the projects. We are sending those, instead of those boring weekly project schedules and also just the prescriptive language of what's happening on the site, what's our next actions, what was done last week. We're just sharing exactly the video of the space, open space, which talks about all the sequencing, what has been done in the last week in terms of steps, what's been planned for this week, what is actually done. And if it's not achieved, what are the shortfalls and how the client is able to even do the snagging with us.
And could be sitting anywhere, remotely.
Could be sitting
right?
anywhere. Yeah, it's just the time zones for us that we need to manage by having those late night calls or the early morning calls. But it just makes the life a bit, I won't say comfortable, but easy in terms of trying to get everybody's attention on a project live when it's happening, not basically after the thing is done, the damage is done, and we're regretting, oh, break it up and then redo again. That's reduced to a great extent because of the tools that are available, which are helping us to design better, which are helping us to quantify better, which are helping us to now construct better, and also now communicate better. So we all would have those times when we were frustrated and pouring all our emotions into one email, and then thinking, is it right to send it, is it not right to send? Now you say, copy, paste, ChatGPT, make it humble and professional, send. I'm like, this is boon, right? And I think this is the best era that we are all enjoying, and we should just like continue exploring the ways that we can maybe quantify in such a way that we are able to get everybody else buy-in and adopting this technology. Right now, resistance is by the baby boomers, if we can see that. Most people in our office 60 plus, and there are many, who would always think twice. BIM, what is it? Why do we need to do it? Like, do you think it is really going to be helping my people? I can do everything. I can quantify, I can review it.
I've got more white hair now. This is the biggest problem in construction. If I didn't have white hair,
even with clients, you've got to share them the benefits in terms of what they save in terms of money. Everything has to be quantified. You save time, you save cost, hence you use it. Okay, buy-in. So every tool has a disadvantage, also an advantage. The way you use it, it's a boon to you.
So basically, a lot of integration, everything is integrated into one, and a lot of communication, which is very seamless, and that's where we're borrowing a lot more time to do things that are far more innovative.
Absolutely.
Before. Thank you, Reema, for that one. And quickly, I mean, Ranjith, another one for you. You already spelt out a lot of, lot of innovation and benefits that the lighting industry is bringing in the realm of both sustainability and wellness and experience for the end user. What do you think is going to be the big advancements in the field in these areas of lighting design?
So, sustainability, wellness, and experience. So, I think the overall real estate industry and its constituents, like all designers, I think these three are things that I think everybody is, pondering over. And I think sustainability, when it comes to sustainability from a lighting point of view, what we look at is first is durability of products. Number one, circularity is a big term now. It's there in all panel discussions from Dubai to the US, but you don't see any manufacturer who's really getting into that sphere. But I also believe that unless a consumer demands something, the technology also may not evolve. That is also a challenge. So are we really asking or are we demanding? That's little, again, it is driven by cost factor. So now the problem is the recycled products have become more expensive than the regular stuff, right? So though it's a big word, circularity, sustainability, what else can I think of? Upcycling, reuse. I think it's all going on in our own industry in multiple discussion forums. But I have not personally, I have not seen something really tangible, which we can, like a ready product, which we can start using. But something even when you look at LED technology, initially they had the regular light fixtures where had your replacement bulbs, which I thought was a good thing to do. You're just changing the bulb and having the fixture. But then suddenly there was a huge shift where every manufacturer is making a fixture which is totally integrated. So now you throw off the entire fixture and you have to buy a new one. But again, with all these discussions going on in sustainability, again, a lot of manufacturers are going back into bringing in replaceability into their fixtures. I think that's one big part of the sustainability element of it. In comes to well-being, I had already mentioned human comfort, ergonomics, dynamic changing of environment based on time of day. That's key. I think that's pretty much in terms of well-being, and user experience is big in terms of, now if you look at even when we do lighting design, a hospitality space, a commercial space, a residence, all these seem to have a very similar approach to lighting design. So if somebody asks me, okay, have you done an office? If I've already done a residence, it's good enough, because the same feel is what office lobby demands. A similar experience is what a hospitality banquet hall or a restaurant demands. So I think that consistency in people's expectation of user experience is there, what I'm seeing across different types of build. That's one. From a technology point of view, I think to enhance the experience, we have a lot of technology today. As I said, wired control systems, RGB color changing. Like for example, bringing color into an F&B space. How do you bring color as a branding element into your experience? I think these are certain pockets of areas where lighting and today's technology is playing a big role.
Thank you, Ranjith. I think in the interest of time, we'll move to the last question, and this is for both Akhil and Nishigandh.
Add on one point where we were talking about sustainability and why we are unable to make full-fledged sort of respect to what we are talking? Are we doing the same thing in terms of giving it back to the nature? We're talking about serving our clients who are requesting, who have the money to pay, who would also dictate what brands they want to go for. And we do not have in India right now that kind of a system where the supply system or the factories that these global brands should start now coming and investing there. That's my request to all these event organizers would be to bring those manufacturers, whether it's lighting, whether it's furniture, whether it's chairs, whether it's all of these components we end up importing. It's 14 weeks lead time, 16 weeks lead time, and then increases the cost of the product. But by the end, the organization wants to go for net zero.
Yes.
It's again a gimmick. We are not being true to ourselves, neither we are being true to our clients. Somewhere there needs to be some community, some change needs to happen where India has the power and the potential to produce stuff. Whether it's lighting, we're still importing every LED from China right now also, 95%. We're just assembling here. So if there is a way for us to encourage that part in the industry, then technology, then sustainability, everything can be integrated to that right human experience I want to build. That's it.
I mean, that's a very pertinent point, both from an environmental and also from a social point of view. How are we sort of enabling our local communities? How are we really going local, and the whole idea of going indigenous in the whole practice. And yes, we have a huge, a country and its force, the manpower we have, the resources we have, we should totally be supporting that. And the industry is demanding for it from a sustainability point of view. So now quickly jumping into our last question, which is both directed towards you, Akhil, as well as you, Nishigandh. What is that one big technology, in your opinion, that could change the built environment space for India as a geography? I mean, both of you have extensive knowledge from the West and the Middle East. So what is it that you think could be brought into India that can really change the landscape of things here?
I think India has already started seeing things, but let me just make this answer very short and sweet. The way technology is changing, it's mainly responding to the designers, the needs of the designers and the users, or even the engineers who are building it. So if we have the technology to reduce the human effort and focus more on the design, achieving the finesse in design, I think that's what we should be looking at. And in that regard, I think architecture should not, or actually it does not, shy away from borrowing things from other industries, like manufacturing, for instance. We already have 3D printing, we already have robotics, we have digital twins. Digital twins has come from manufacturing industry. And that's what we should look at to see how we can use those, bring them in India, and like 3D printing, for instance, which is so commonly happening everywhere across the world. That kind of technology needs to be produced here, and I would like to build on what Reema said, that we need to have, there's an entire new chain of work that can happen here itself.
I mean, today the GDP 65% is service sector. So one thing is technology is not going to replace its people for sure. So if you ask me what is that is going to break the market or is going to really break the construction industry, is when we take top tier skills like digital twins to tier 3 and tier 4 cities. It's great for profit as well. I'm a Gujarati, cheaper resource. But bottom line is that urbanization causes 70% of the greenhouse gas emissions all of us are talking about. The panel before here was also talking about how suburbanizing, urbanizing can be a better solution to urbanizing. I'd say de-urbanizing is the best solution. If we can take digital twin skills, so currently we've got 48 people working from tier 3 cities, delivering digital twin, which is top tier skill. You find one person here will be at least a lakh or lakh 20,000. So the real technology breaker is not how much technology there is. The real technology breaker is how many people are going to adopt that technology and how can you accelerate the speed of its adoption. Now with this digital twin, we always talk on the design table. We are using the same tech, like he was saying, for prefab modularity. So now labor finishes their work at least 30% faster than they would otherwise. They can either take up more work, earn more money, or go and chill. So the real answer to technology is, of course, it's there. how can we accelerate the adoption of it and how can we take it to the roots of the country? Because as India, we have the opportunity of growing more than any other country has grown in this world. Do you want to grow like China or do you want to grow like how India should be growing? That's all. Thank you.
And there was something else also here because we speak about digital twin only in terms of buildings. We have still not started talking about digital twin in terms of cities, which Singapore is already doing. So they are looking at, yeah, Dubai is also. So things like self-shading, wind analysis, all that energy modeling, for instance, all that needs to happen on city level as well.
Adoption, the more people will be doing it because it's not doing it automatically for sure. One thing I can tell you, no matter how much we are talking about, as much as things are getting done on a click of a button, bums on the chair is the theory that this world is going to work with. If we are talking about India, we should start doing digital twins of our tier 3, tier 4 cities first. Easier. No government permission, no sala BMC wala sitting or anything of that sort, right? So when you're going and promoting technology, what world should use, India has the opportunity of using it at the grassroots level. We have to take that technology to the grassroots level. I'm sorry, getting a little.
I think you sold the idea very well. But in the previous discussion, I think someone mentioned about looking at densities of cities. And I think that these two ideas need to be married to each other, digital twin on cities and studying the densities. I think that's where a big answer lies. Thank you.
Wonderful answers. And I think, what you mentioned, when we talk about densities, we are also talking about our population and we also touched upon, our human resource. And I think that is India's biggest asset. So if we tie technology back to that human resource, I think we are all set for a grand success. So yes, thank you very much for your very, very insightful, answers and the various topics that we touched upon. I don't know, do we have some time for some audience questions? We do? About 5 minutes or so.
So, can I please have the mic passed over to sir, please? Can always connect offline once the session is done. Thank you.
When new technology comes in, there's always a temptation to say, what's the potential of this? Let's run with it. But perhaps AI is taking us into some uncharted territory there because a lot of organizations are surviving because they possess the technical ability to produce a design or to produce a project. And as more and more of that gets automated, perhaps technology will reduce in its ability to differentiate oneself. So one has to then look at what technology cannot do and what is the value that is added through that, the core of being human. So I'm talking about care, compassion, empathy, artistry, mastery, craftsmanship. So when looking at technology, perhaps the effort to deploy it has to be balanced by an equivalent effort to see what technology cannot do. So what's the methodology for doing that?
If I may, you see, we started as MEP design consultants, and I'm so disappointed after coming to Bangalore. I'm saying that still people are using MEP, FF consultants. Even internally, if they're MEP consultants, the M guy will do his M thing, the E guy will do his E thing, the P guy will do his P thing. Technology cannot bring knowledge to a resource. So the resources we are training now in tier 2 and tier 3 are integrated engineers, and we've been integrated engineers from beginning. So knowledge transfer cannot be replaced with technology by any means. Learning management system can be there so that the dissipation of knowledge is much easier. But your point very well noted, no matter how much technology comes, knowledge transfer is primary. That's my view.
I think the human touch is something which you can't replace with just technology. For instance, like we used to write letters with our hands a few years back, but then we got typewriters and you have this one guy typing it. Right now, what AI is doing for me is that typewriter's job. And technology, again, has got a power of switch, right? So finally, the human touch is what will drive things. And that's something which we can't ever forget.
I think in the last 1 year, I think the learning for everyone, even what Reema was mentioning, half the things you mentioned, we are not doing. That adoption of AI into our daily workflow. You mentioned what blue fish is it?
Big fish.
Big fish, yeah. I mean, we were both kind of looking at each other and saying, what is this new stuff? So I think there's a lot of technology evolving, and I see on LinkedIn, if you would note, like there are people who are posting, these are the image generation tools, there's like 25 tools. So but there was a joke which I recently read. So we are going to come to a phase where a consumer is going to be given a choice. Do you want an AI generated outcome, or you want a human, which is going to be rare at that point of time? So I think that rarity, it's like that old wine kind of a concept where I think people want to go search for a human who's done something with a human touch. I think we are evolving into that.
To add, like I said before, technology will remain and continue to be like an enabler to us. It can't replace human beings. It can't replace emotions. It can't do the design thinking the way we do for our clients. But it's a tool. Like we've replaced handwriting with the laptops and computers. We evolved. We use it as a tool. We continue to use these tools to help us be better individuals.
I guess keep technology to the mechanical chores, so we have more time to be, more humane, more empathetic.
Thank you so much.
Right.
We are actually pressed for time. So if there are any more questions, I'll request all of you to please connect with all our stalwarts offline. In the meantime, can I please request all of you a huge round of applause for this very, very fascinating, knowledgeable session. I like the sound of the claps that way. We can do a lot better, right? Come on, Bangalore. Yes, thank you.
Everybody,
Thank you so much. I'll request Sapna Srivastav, editor, Realty Plus, to please kindly join me on stage and hand over the token of appreciations to all of them, our guests over here. Can we have the token of appreciations, please? And like I said, when there's so much of knowledge being distributed and said, questions will always arise. But at the same time, we only have 24 hours in a day and there's a lot to be fitted. So on that note, all I can request with all my humility is that if there are any more questions, you can please connect with them offline. Thank you. We'll do a group photo with all of you, please. If I may request all of you to please come forward. Some clap and appreciation going in when the photos are done. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sapna, for coming on stage and doing this. Thank you so much to all our guests for taking out time and doing this session with all of us over here. Thank you so much. Truly, truly humbled in the true sense of the term. Thank you.